Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today we are doing the stay-at-home book tag. This tag was created by Madison Mary over at Princess of Paperback. She just came up with a bunch of prompts kind of related to things that we're all doing while we are at home. Self-isolating, social distancing, all the important stuff we should all be doing. I wasn't tagged to do this video, but I really wanted to. It has really good questions and is very, obviously, topical. So yeah, we're just gonna dive into the questions. I have a good mix of books that I have read and books that are on my TBR as answers to these questions. So we'll talk a little bit about some recommendations and then also some ones that I hope to get to soon-ish, maybe. We'll see. Question number 1 is laying in bed. What is a book you can or have read in one single sitting? For this, I chose Red, White, and Royal Blue by McQuiston, which came out last year and like took BookTube and just like the book world by storm. It's a romance between the first son of the United States and the Prince of Wales. They start out sort of as rivals and then build a little bit of a friendship and then a relationship, and it is a really good romance. I loved the romance between the two of them, but it's also really funny, and it's just the kind of book you can get totally immersed in that will provide a little bit of escapism and makes it feel like the world isn't falling apart. I actually have a friend who recently read this and she said it was like perfect for right now. The humor had her laughing out loud. She said it just like took her out of the anxiety around like what the hell is happening right now and allowed her to just kind of like, I don't know, live in this world with these characters. It's also really nostalgic for like what could have been had 2016 gone differently, but we won't go there. Yeah, I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was in my top 10 of 2019. I think that's true for a lot of people. If you haven't read it yet, I would definitely recommend it, and I think right now is a great time because again, it just allows you to be sort of swept up in this romance and in this world, and it just has all the good vibes, and yeah, it's a delight. Number 2 is snacking. What is a guilty pleasure read? So I try not to feel guilty about anything that I read because I enjoy reading, and I don't think you need to feel guilty about reading something that isn't like perfect. I don't know, if you enjoy it, don't feel guilty about it. It's easier said than done, but I understand the question is sort of like, what's a book that you love despite it being like not a particularly good book or well written or whatever. So in the spirit of that, I picked up a book that definitely fits that category a couple months ago. I found it at Goodwill. I have not read this since I was in probably middle school. That is Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I had seen this book around so many times lately and it felt like, okay, maybe I should just pick it up and try reading it again. I have zero expectations that this is going to be good literature. I also expect it to be slightly problematic. This is a world where when girls turn a certain age, when they turn 16, they can have like an operation to go from uglies to pretties, and like their bodies are like perfect. So like there's a lot of issues with that, but it's sort of dystopian, and I don't really remember a lot about it except that this came out when I was in 7th grade in 2005, and I remember loving it, and like I can't even tell you if I read the whole series. I know I definitely read at least the first 3. I don't know, I'm weirdly intrigued by a reread of this. I got it for like $2 at Goodwill, so I don't know, I can't decide if I want to just like read this on its own or reread like books from that era that I read and loved. We'll see which route I go. I think it could be kind of fun to read books from that time period, but also it could be like not fun. So yeah, this is definitely one that I think gives me a little bit of that like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm reading this. It's less guilt and more shame. Question 3 is Netflix. What is a series you would like to start? If my brother is watching this, he's going to be so pumped. I'm really wanting to start Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is actually there's like 2 different trilogies. This is the first book in the first trilogy. This is a high fantasy story, epic fantasy story, and I actually did start it like a year and a half ago, and I got almost 300 pages in, and I was liking it, but it was taking me forever because it's a really long book, And there was some readathon that started, and I got distracted from this and then never picked it back up. But this is one that my husband loves. He is a huge Sanderson fan. My brother just read the first book and like immediately texted me and was like, how have you not read this yet? You need to read it. So it's been top of mind lately. It's definitely one that I hope to get to sooner rather than later. And I just feel like, I don't know, I enjoy high fantasy. After reading the 5th season, I want more adult fantasy in my life. This is definitely one that is high up on my list. I've been wanting to read it forever, and hopefully I can do that and make my brother happy soon. Question number 4 is Deep Clean. Speaking of books that have been on your TBR forever, what's a book that you've had on your TBR for ages? I went strictly with my physical TBR, and I ended up going with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. People are really passionate about this book. I know there are a lot of people who really love it, but I also have some friends who said it was really underwhelming. I know that it is about, it's like a historical fantasy about a circus, but I truly know nothing more than that. Oh yeah, it's Dueling Magicians. That is intriguing to me. Like I said, it's been on my TBR for ages, and it's one that I think I'll like. It seems like a book I would enjoy, but I don't know, I just have never gotten around to it. We'll see if I like it. Question number 5 is Animal Crossing. What is a book you bought because of the hype? So for this one, I picked up The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. This one, I feel like there are a few booktubers in particular who love this book and super hype it up. Off the top of my head, I feel like Kayla from Books and Lala really liked it. I know Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads really loves this, and there are a couple others. And so I don't really know what it's about at all, but I saw it again at a used bookstore, and it was only a few dollars. I feel like I have pretty similar taste to both Chelsea and Kayla a lot of the time. I don't know what to expect from it. I think it's a pretty heavy book. It's a hard-hitting contemporary, but beyond that, I don't really know. I think there's trigger warnings for rape and or sexual assault, but yeah, fully picked up for the hype. Clearly I know nothing about it. Question number 6 is productivity. What is a book that you have learned from? I had kind of a hard time with this one, and I'm not totally sure why. I feel like I learn a little something from every book that I read, but it's hard to it's not always tangible or easily expressed or identified. I had to really think about this one, but one that came up as I was thinking about that is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I read this last year, and again, it made it into my top books of the year. I think the thing that I learned from this one is that you can believe you're doing okay. You can believe that someone else is doing okay because they're putting on that front, but in reality, things could be harder than you are willing to admit to yourself, to others, whatever it might be. This is largely about the importance of friendship and accepting help, asking for help, and caring for those that you love, and taking the time to ask questions and check in with your loved ones, which I think is extremely relevant right now because we're all in a very weird situation, and it's important to check on the people that you love just to make sure that you're doing well, and admitting if you're not okay, if you're not completely fine. I think it's a really hard thing to do, but I think it's really important, and that's definitely one of the themes in this book, and I just really loved this. So yeah, that was the first thing that really came to mind for that question. Just, checking in with your people, telling them when you need support, and also making sure you're offering support to others. Question number 7 is FaceTime. What is a book that you were gifted? And so I picked Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I'm just realizing 2 books in a row with a little Reese's Book Club sticker. This was actually gifted to us at our wedding. It was our card that someone gave us, and my cousin and her husband gave us. So they wrote a nice little note inside to us, which I just think is so cute and so perfect. I loved that so much. I am definitely interested in it because of the hype, and one of my best friends loves this. I posted a picture on Bookstagram when the trend of matching books to outfits was going around, and did one for this, and my friend commented on it, and he was like, I'm gonna need you to love this book, there's no other option. So I feel a little pressure, but it's definitely on my TBR for quarantine. So it's sort of historical fiction, a little bit mystery, it sounds like. And it says, for years, there are rumors of the Marsh Girl in this North Carolina town. And it's this young woman named Kaya Clark. So she lives in a marsh and befriends gulls and finds lessons in the sand. And then the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved. When two young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life until the unthinkable happens. I don't think I had ever read that synopsis before, but yeah, this is definitely one that's high up on my TBR, and I love that I have such good memory or like associations with this book already, so I feel like that will definitely affect my reading because I'm an emotional being, and that's just how I roll. Question 8 is self-care. What is something that you have done to practice self-care recently? So I've been reading a lot for sure. And I've also been trying to stay creative and engaged in like creative things. So I've been cross-stitching. I'm also cooking and baking a lot, which is great, except also I am not like moving at all, and my body is definitely feeling the effects of that. So I don't know, I'm trying to just do things that I know I enjoy, and rewatch shows that I know I love. Schitt's Creek. Adam and I also just bought a nice coffee grinder because we are coffee snobs and we take our coffee very seriously, so we used some wedding money and bought ourselves a nice Berg grinder for our coffee in the morning. So question number 9 is a bonus question, and it's to talk about a book that's coming out soon. I absolutely have to talk about Beach Read by Emily Henry. I just finished this 2 days ago, and I adored it. It did come out early through Book of the Month, and I saw that this was one of the picks and literally did not look at a single other book before putting it in my cart and checking out. I loved this so freaking much. It comes out in May. This is the story of January Andrews and Augustus Everett, who are both authors, and they were in the same writing program in college at the University of Michigan. And January writes rom-coms, Gus writes literary fiction, and so they're very different, and they were sort of rivals in college. It's told from January's perspective, and they both find themselves in the same town, actually, as neighbors, one summer following the death of January's father. I mean, it's a romance, so yeah, you can expect that. It's so swoony, it's really funny. It gave me the same feelings that Red, White, and Royal Blue did. This is for sure gonna make it into my top 10 books of the year. I have no question about that. It was a 5-star book, and I loved both the characters so much. I've never had such a crush on a character like I do on Gus Everett. Oh my god, he's so swoony. It's a little steamy. It's not super smutty, but there's a couple sex scenes. It's just really playful and witty and smart, and I think Emily Henry is a phenomenal author. Her book, A Million Junes, made it into my top 10 of 2019. This is for sure going to be there. And yes, I did just order her other 2 backlist books so that I can immediately read her full collection. So alright everyone, that is going to do it for this tag. Again, super good questions that Madison Mary came up with. Definitely do it if you would like. Hope you're all doing well, staying healthy, staying home, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my next video. But until then, happy reading. Bye.